Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Kultura podcast with Rock and Dea. Today, we have a very special guest. Sometimes we don't know if he's a police officer or an actor, but he's actually both. His name is Victor Dobro. Welcome to our episode today, Victor.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
So, Victor has been in the police force through a range of different missions for over 20 years, but he's also active in the field of arts as an actor, which we think is a very interesting and sophisticated job for someone to have been in one profession and then take a leap into another. And he's also of a very interesting Albanian background. So, without much further ado, we'll hand it over to Victor to introduce himself.
Faleminderit is one of the few words I know. Yeah, my name is Victor Dobro. I'm a police officer over 27 years, a couple different states. I was raised right outside of Washington, D.C. Father immigrated from Albania when it was a communist regime. He would be 99 years old if he would be alive today. But he immigrated. He fought against the communist government. He escaped to Italy. He went to culinary school and he got on one of the ships from Italy to Ellis Island. And when he arrived in Ellis Island, a long time ago, he Americanized his name. Now, I didn't even know that until I pulled his Social Security application. After his death, I was just curious and I saw a different first name. And I said, "What is this?" And I didn't know that he Americanized his name from Vegir to Victor with no middle name. And so, years later, I was born. But that's kind of like the connection to Albania. But after being in policing 20 some years, I was interested in getting into acting. I used to work in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and if you ever heard the TV show Breaking Bad,
Mhm.
that was
Mhm.
one of the shows that was very accurate because they would show all these crimes and open air drug traffic. And as a police officer, I know for a fact it's very accurate because I've arrested
Yeah.
people in the same hotels on the same spots on the street.
Wow.
So I had some police officer friends that were background actors, and I was kind of interested in it. And I started going to Comic Cons and getting autographs from actors on comic books, on anything. And these actors would tell me, they're like, "Well, you should get into acting, or you could be a police consultant." So I looked into getting like being a police consultant, and I did some work, some paid work as a consultant with some movies and TV shows. And I was interested in becoming a stuntman, but I was figuring since I'm getting a little bit old and I might need like icy hot occasionally, that like the stuntman work might not be in it for me. So I was thinking of like acting, and I found acting is actually easier to do on a more regular basis than being a police consultant.
Right.
So it's a lot of stuff going on, and I'm a full-time police officer, and I have two children that I juggle. So I have my hands full.
Well, what first inspired you to get into law enforcement?
Mhm.
Uh, you know, I couldn't pass college algebra. So I tried, I failed college algebra once, and this is my father passed away. I took it again. I was about to fail it again. So he wanted me to be a psychologist. And I didn't know. He just told me what school you're going to, and you're going to be a doctor, basically. And, that wasn't in the cards for me. And so somebody suggested getting into security work. So I got into being a security guard at like Six Flags, different hospitals, theme parks. And then from there, it was like a natural progression to become like going to school for criminal justice as a security officer, getting into police work. So that's how I got into law enforcement.
And the jump there, that's what interests me a lot from police work to acting. Was that
Yeah.
always a passion of yours, or how did that start and come into fruition?
Yeah. I mean, I've always loved TV and film. I love like, just watching the plot lines, figuring out, and then the behind the camera work. But yeah, it was basically when I was living in when working in New Mexico, I worked on a couple movies just blocking the street. So there's a movie called Around the Bend with Christopher Walken, and I was blocking the street. Then we took a break, and I was eating what they call it at craft services. And this famous actor came up behind me with his accent, and he asked me if I was going to eat my food or if he could have some of my food. So it caught me off guard. But then I did security for Employee of the Month with Jessica Simpson. So I was on that set doing security. And I was just interested in it. And I saw a couple of my friends, they were background actors on like the Longest Yard remake with Adam Sandler. They actually filmed at the Santa Fe State Penitentiary and not Texas. And a lot of these movies like Terminator and Wild Hogs, a lot of the movies they film like in the desert of New Mexico. So I recognized a lot of these locations and I was just interested. And I would just talk, I talked to one friend who was on Breaking Bad and he told me how I can get into background acting. And then once I did that, like I could talk about acting for hours and hours, but I just took a lot of steps. I basically taught myself how to act. I did classes, I researched it. I went from not having any representation to having like six talent agents. And so like I've just done a lot of work, a lot of legwork to get to where I'm at now, where I'm averaging a couple, maybe a couple co-star appearances on big shows, like maybe once a year, twice a year, which is tough because you want to be continually working as an actor. Um,
Yeah.
that's the tough thing. It's like a struggling artist.
Right.
If you're an artist, you got to put in a lot of work.
And you're also
Yeah.
entering the field at a later time period when
Sure.
actors start out quite young. If you think of the Disney stars, they're like 3 years
Oh,
old,
sure. Yeah.
4 years old when their parents like rush them off to those studios. So props to you for still doing that and pursuing that dream in
Yeah.
different
Thank you.
points of your life. I have a question when it comes to your background as an Albanian. So we know your last name is Dobro, and we see the Albanian gear, we see the pleats in the background and all that kind of stuff, the Albanian flag. Dobro sounds like the word good in,
Sure.
Slavic languages, but is it a short for something or what is your actual last
Yeah.
name?
There are a lot of Dobros, and I was just there in Albania a couple weeks ago, and there's a lot of Dobros in Gjirokastra in southern Albania, some in Tirana. But we think generations before. I mean, it's funny because I just got a hit on what is it, Ancestry.com, and they told me I'm 36% Albanian, 14% Southwestern Balkan, and then my mother's side is like from England, like three, 4 generations back.
Interesting.
But yeah, we think that it's probably Slavic or something. Maybe Dobro was abbreviated from some like Dobrovinsky or something like that. So I'm sure they'll probably have to go back 4 generations or more at least. But yeah, I still have tons and tons of cousins. I mean, I tell you stories. I went there 2 weeks ago and I cried because I had 30 different Dobros I've never met, hugging me, kissing me, taking pictures, just swamping me.
It might just
So
be an Albanian last name that we have not heard of before too. And your family
yeah,
is from Gjirokastër originally, or where is
yep,
your father from? Okay, you're from
yeah,
Gjirokastër.
from the village of Fushbardi, right outside of Jukastra. So it actually
Okay.
said it in his. And the way my father talked about it and the way I always imagined it was like an empty land where there's nothing around. And man, I went there and I think Jukastra in the castle is like a beautiful city. I met the mayor. I took a picture with him.
Oh, hey.
He's actually from the village of Fushbardi. I went to
Oh wow.
my yeah, I went to the original town and I met with the town elder and they were telling me stories about my father and I got to see my grandparents' grave for the first time. I mean, my father would have been 99. You figured I never got close to meeting my grandparents on my Albanian side, but I got to kiss and touch their grave for the first time in my life. And I was just overwhelmed with emotion and just having so many relatives come out and see me. A lot of them caravaned and followed me down to Saranda and
Wow.
in Saville. Like they were just caravanning and following me. So it was really emotional time. And I got to bring back Honey and Rocky.
I have two questions for you.
Yeah.
When did you find out you had Albanian in you? Was it when you were a kid? Your
Oh, I
family
mean,
told you? Your
my father was a single father, like basically went through like a custody dispute, but I knew like I was half Albanian and my
okay.
father would get like an Albanian newspaper. But like, when the communist regime was there, the phone lines were shut down. And so he only could communicate with a few relatives or not even relatives, like a few friends in New York, New Jersey. So, he spoke basically broken English, but he knew 5 languages and he spoke like broken Albanian. And then I remember as a child when they opened up the borders and Albanians were calling on the phone line and you would hear like a really bad dial tone and an echo and they would just start screaming in Albanian. And I'm like, I don't know, like 13, 14, 15. So I pick up the phone and it's a rotary phone. It tells you how old it is. There's a rotary phone and I'm just handing it to my father because I'm like, well, it's got to be for you. So I knew I was half Albanian, but you got to realize like my father came to the country for like everyone else immigrating like for a better life, and he
Mhm.
wanted better for me. So he didn't really teach me the language. And when they opened the borders in 91, 93, he gave me a courtesy invite, but he thought I wasn't going to be interested. So he didn't take me back with him. If I could go back in time, of course I would have been like, no, you're taking me, I'm going. But
Yeah, that's
I knew my whole life I was half Albanian. I only knew like two, 3 words forever. That was it.
that's amazing, man. That's amazing. And then to also kind of go back into your like law enforcement days and even acting, how different was like your first experience of you being on a movie set compared to your first experience as being in law enforcement?
Uh, well, they're still nervous, like still
Mhm.
having the nerves. But I tell people, like I told John Bernthal, if you guys know him, he's on like he's the Punisher
Punisher.
and
Yeah.
all these other. So like he's from the DC area, and he knows me now. I've worked with him in a couple different projects, and he asked me on one project. He said, "Hey man, what do you think about being a cop? What's your opinion?" And I was like, "Well, thanks for asking." And I told him, I said, "Man, it's rough." I said, "I'm at the end of my career, and I want to just retire, and I want to be an actor full time. It's just not that easy to transition like and just snap your fingers and say, okay, I'm going to act full time." But I tell people all the time, I joke, I would much rather play a cop on TV than in real life. Because
Yeah, I could
in
imagine.
TV it's fun. You can curse, you can do whatever you want. In real life, I have to worry about general orders, procedural orders, getting written up, getting in trouble, getting offending somebody, and it's real life. It's real life, and I'd rather live in the fantasy world of acting than in the real world of police work. But it's it's what pays the bills.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And to the extent to which you can talk about it anonymously, so have there been any stories in your cop career that have stayed with you or kind of like shaped your experience and who you are as a cop today?
Yes, sure. I mean, I could tell you uh, I'm very lucky not to have PTSD because most people in the military that seen death, a lot of police officers, you can get PTSD like from one incident today and not even like know like that could happen. So I've seen like a lot of death, a lot of ugly things throughout my career, and I'm just fortunate. So like that's why you hear police officers have like dark humor. They have to like protect themselves, and you have to like almost like dehumanize. You have to just be procedural. Like if we see children or if we're dealing with our own family, like I can deal with other people's problems way better than my own. It's just we're used to doing that. So it takes a toll on you, and that's why they say you have to have like outside you have to have friends that aren't police officers, you have to have hobbies, you have to have a healthy outlet, either working out or whatever, exercise, whatever gets you going. But you can't just be a cop 24/7. And then there's some cops that'll tell you like once you retire, that's it, like people forget about you. But people that don't forget about you are your family and friends. The coworkers will forget about you.
Exactly. What how did or how can I say what's the biggest misconception like people have when it comes into to acting and what you do in terms of Hollywood? Like,
Uh, the number one misconception is they think I'm rich. So they think all actors are millionaires. And I can tell you, the average actor doesn't make enough money to be eligible for health insurance through the SAG-AFTRA union. And it's crazy because I have a police union that really takes care of us. And then I have an actors union that's just seems like it's just restrictive. They have protections on set. So like, I can't take subpar jobs, and like my health is supposed to be more watched over. But it's tough. The average actor I think makes 7,000 a year. And I did a lot of work as a regular background actor on a Walking Dead show called Walking Dead World
what?
Beyond, and I made 13,000, and that's like double the average actor. So then I stopped doing background acting, and I only do like speaking roles now. But then I cut my salary in half because there's not as many speaking roles to go around. So the biggest misconception is just like that that you're working a lot and then you're getting paid really well. Like I get commission checks, which are cool, but like sometimes it's for $2 or $7, like royalties. And
What?
and then like Paramount Plus is making, millions and millions, and Apple TV. And the great thing is like I've been able to work with like Natalie Portman and Lady in the Lake. I work with John Bernthal in We Own the City, and in The Punisher. And I've worked on other projects with really good actors. So it's great. It's great. I work with friends, and I tell people all the time, I have friends that are local to the DMV area, DC, Maryland, Virginia. They're local actors. They have way more talent than me, but they don't get as many opportunities. So it's just because I look like a cop and soldier, I get a lot of these type roles. And so I'm fortunate. But I know I have other friends that are better theater actors, theatrical actors, and they have formal training, and I only have like some minimal training.
So how does one break into the field of acting if you're completely unaware?
Yeah, it all depends. So like and I've coached a few people, but it's very like my path is very specific. So as a police officer, I have the look, I have pictures that I can send to casting, and they're like, oh, okay, he could play a cop. So it's very simple. Like I didn't have headshots, I didn't have a talent agent, I didn't really know what I was doing, but I started getting into background acting, and then that got my foot in the door for open auditions, for open casting. But it depends on, like, honestly, your sex, your age, your demographic, your look, and then what you want to do is find out, you want to play to what your role could be. I know guys that look more like gangsters, so they're going to get more opportunities auditioning as a gangster than as a cop. You know what I mean?
So I'm
So
guessing I'm guessing you were never an undercover in real life because they're like he'd give it away.
no,
He looks like a cop.
no, no, no. And what's funny is, a lot of cops and military guys, special forces, like you can have beards now and facial hair. So like I try to grow facial hair, but every time I apply for a role, they ask me if I'm willing to, or they just tell me we need you to shave. And I'm like, okay, but like you understand, not every cop and military guy is clean shaven nowadays, but you still have to. And that's the thing with being a police advisor too. So I've helped advise on sets, and sometimes it's really interesting. I tell them what's realistic, and what we would actually say, what we actually would do, and these producers and directors would take my advice. Sometimes they listen to me, and they take all my advice. Like Lady in the Lake with Natalie Portman and Alma Harrell, is a award-winning director. They listened to all my advice, so it was awesome that they respected me and they set up a scene exactly like I told them they should. But then I've been in TV shows where they want us like pulling our car up to the front door and running in the front door of
Mhm.
a shopping center, looking for like evil clowns. And I told him, I said, we wouldn't park right in front of the door because like we would get shot at, like, or whatever. And they're like, yeah, but it looks good on TV. So that's the funny thing about uh, doing the advising, being a consultant. I have a really good friend that's a consultant on all the military movies, like Jack Ryan and 13 Hours, and his name is Kevin Kent. And I really admire him because this is kind of what I wanted to model my career after. And if you've seen the movie Tomorrow War, they're using like a low caliber rifle, and they're like, why would you use this type of weapon to fight futuristic aliens? And then I would always give him a hard time and say, yeah, man, why'd you let them pick that rifle? And he would just laugh because it's a producer's prerogative to like pick what props and stuff they want. So it's not always up to, like, say, us, the tactical or police consultants. We just tell them what would be the most realistic thing.
Okay.
Have you ever had to have like a disagreement? You said
Yes.
yeah, okay. So
Well, I have with another police officer. Matter of fact, so it was a TV show, and it's We Own the City, and there's a scene where like, they're patting down this guy, and it was supposed to be me and another partner standing off to the side, and I ended up deferring to the Baltimore City police consultant because
Mhm.
that's their turf. I'm like right down the street, so I'm not Baltimore City, but still, like, policing is policing. So what the camera wanted to show is like, I don't want to give it away, but like an officer patting down a subject, and then like me not really paying attention or not really looking. And in real life, I would be on my partner. I would be watching his back. Like imagine the crowds in New York. You don't just have one police officer patting someone down. You have like multiple cops watching their back. So was a little bit of argument, and there was an award-winning director, Ronaldo Marcus Green. He did King Richard with Will Smith. And when me and the other advisor basically, we didn't fight, but we just had a disagreement. It was funny because the director looked at me and looked at him, looked at me and looked at him, and he goes, "Well, basically, you guys figure it out." And I was there just to be the actor. I wasn't getting paid to be the consultant. So I was just like, "Oh yeah, whatever you want, that's fine. I'm just saying this isn't, how I would do it." And he's like, "Yeah, but this is Baltimore." I'm like, "Okay, no problem. I got you."
So you're telling us that not everything we see in Hollywood is true?
No,
Wasn't
it's what they
expecting
want.
that.
Yeah, it's what they want. It's what they want to show for TV, though. What looks good on screen.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that is very interesting when it comes to your role as an officer, but also an actor. It seems like that Albanian fighter gene still was very alive in you and being
Yeah,
active
sure.
in the police force too. But if
Yeah.
there's things about your background that you would like to delve into more now, what would it be as an Albanian?
Um, just like I think the unique story. When I just recently visiting Albania for the first time in my life at my age, I was talking to my relatives. They were the last time my father was in the castle of Judicastra. We estimate he was probably 16 years old, and he would be 99 years old today. And I visited that city and that castle at age 50. So imagine how many years have gone by between
Wow.
generations. And that's kind of hard to wrap my mind around. So it was very touching. That city was so beautiful. Like I said, my father, I felt bad on visiting the town, the village he was born in, and they were asking me like, "What does your father said of the town, or what does he say? Do you have memories?" And I felt bad because remember when an immigrant moves away, and then they start a new family, they want to kind of like shield them and raise them in a new environment.
Yeah.
Because he didn't speak well because it was a communist regime. Like my father had relatives that were like in the upper echelon of the government. He fought against the communist government, and he, like I guess he ran from like the Italians too. And so like he wanted to get out of there. And so like anytime as a little child, I would ask him like a question or something. He would blow me off. Like he was very dismissive, like like very old school, non-practicing Muslim. And then the funny story is he was not practicing Muslim, but he used to take me with his like sous chefs because he's an executive chef. He would take me to friends of the family, and we would go to Baptist church, Catholic church, Lutheran church. We would go to all these different churches, and he would stand, sit, he would act like he's reading or singing. And he told me once, he said, it doesn't matter what religion you are as long as you're good to people. So like, and then I realized and I understood that that's really an Albanian thing. It's the religious, it's not even religious tolerance. It's religious, what do you call it? Like cohesiveness.
Harmony. Yeah.
Yeah, harmony. So I saw that somewhere, and I'm like, that's perfectly right because that's something I learned from my father. And then so like he basically made me Catholic just so I could go to a Catholic school and get like a better education. But now I'm like non-practicing Catholic. But
Yeah.
it's just an interesting story, like coming back to Albania, like me going, and he kissed the ground. I have a picture where he kissed the ground when he first landed in 91.
Wow.
Like,
Wow.
as soon as they opened up the borders, somebody took a Polaroid picture, he kissed the ground. So when I got off the plane in Tirana, I was emotional just because of what my father went through. So I didn't have anyone taking pictures, but I kissed my hand and then tapped the ground in like honor of him. So, and then remember, like, I don't know much of the language. So, like, I'm still kind of out of my element. But, I met with so many different cousins. They took me around, and I love the coffee culture there. The people are so polite. I didn't see any fights. I didn't see any. I laughed. I told my cousin I didn't see anyone arguing or fighting other than our own relatives amongst each other. They would argue because they all wanted me to go with them to their house or to have coffee with them one more time. And like they would literally fight each other, like not fight, but they were trying to argue about whose house I could go to next and where I'm going tomorrow. And it was a really good feeling. Like I got emotional three different times,
Yeah.
specific times. Like I met like, fourth cousins and second cousins. So I met like a grandfather who would have been the closest to my father's age. And then I met his grandson, and they both have my same last name. And they both like wanted
That's
to take pictures.
beautiful.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
both wanted to take pictures. And I tell people like it's a weird feeling, especially I was raised by, like as a single child by my father, like really small family, divorced family. to know that I had so many relatives that loved me just for my blood, just for my genetics.
For
You know what I mean? And
existing.
and
Mhm.
and imagine my father went through the same thing when he came back in 91, 93. He was swamped. They had to shut like the restaurant doors, like he would tell people, no more visitors. Like, and I got to that point, like the village elder in Fushparty wanted to have alone 5 minutes alone. So I had to tell my
Wow.
relatives, hey, I have to respect the village elder. I have to, go to him with his house and sit with him. But please understand, I'm not trying to be rude. And then I had my second cousin, which is my translator. I was like, okay, translate. So I'm going through my second cousin, who's Americanized, and his first name is Elvis. So after Elvis Presley. So
These
so,
those
but
are
no, I had to have like the translator. But yeah, I was just overwhelmed with how beautiful the area was. And they let me drive. Like here I am driving in a foreign country, just taking off through the mountains. You know what I mean? So I had a great time. I want to go back for sure.
that's
I see. I
beautiful.
see.
Go ahead.
I see you have the emblem there for Kosovo as well.
Yeah.
The little badge there. How'd you manage to get that?
Uh,
Because I'm from Kosovo, so which is
yeah.
pretty cool to see that. So
Yeah, the Albanian American Police Officers Association out of New York, NYPD.
okay.
They connected with me, and that's how I really started getting all these Albanian connections in New York. And he came down to DC. He brought me to the embassy to meet like the consulate, and we were talking about maybe doing some training. Like I had been on the SWAT team, and I was a sniper, and he wanted me to go back to Albania and Kosovo and like train like soldiers and police officers how to be a sniper. And I said, man, I just went through the training myself. Like there's a big difference between being certified as a sniper and being a sniper instructor.
Mhm.
And I told him I really wasn't comfortable with that. I hadn't been to the country yet. I didn't have a curriculum set up. I'm a firearms instructor, but like I'm teaching basic police recruits in America. So I was kind of like overwhelmed. He wanted me to go out there and train everyone and spend a couple weeks. And, it seemed like a great idea, but it never came. I know of officers that have actually done that. But I don't have that experience instructing out of the country yet. But I have the
Understood.
connections. I definitely have friends and have understood the Kosovo Albanian connection for sure. I mean, I've educated myself on that.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm friends with a lot of police officers and people in Port Authority and things like that over here in New York, and
yeah,
I've been going to some of the organizations that they have, like PAPD, Illyrians, and
yeah, yeah,
NYPD, Illyrians. So it's pretty cool to see what they do and how many Albanians now are in the like police force, special forces, all that. It's pretty awesome, and I feel like we fit right in.
yeah. I mean, I connect with just random guys across the country. I mean, they seem obviously predominantly populated in New Jersey, New York, but
Yep.
definitely like the Michigan area too. I
Michigan.
guess in Florida. So I'm learning that the pockets. I mean, I just learned there's a pocket of Kosovo Albanians in Maryland in the area that I was like raised. But
Yep.
this is like I said, when my father was alive and I was a child, we didn't have an Albanian community in Bowie, Maryland. But it's odd that we have one now. That
Yeah.
this is like decades later. But yeah, I'm that's the one thing is like I love the food, I love the culture, and I'm really trying to connect with as many Albanian Americans as I can. I'd love to learn the language, but I'm kind of like definitely behind on the culture, just really the language. I mean, I'm friends with people that speak it fluently, and I'm just kind of hanging out in the conversations, just trying to pick it up.
Yeah.
Totally, you
You
would.
should,
Mhm.
yeah.
Especially if you have the family back home too that would be able to speak with you, whether it's on the phone or when you're back home. But I want to go
Yeah,
back to the story a little bit because it was very touching just to know that they received the son of someone who
yeah,
immigrated at a
yeah.
point in time where he was risking his life to
Oh
leave the
yeah.
country.
Oh
But
sure.
it's such um, a bittersweet story because they have to take into consideration at that point in time, Albania was the harshest communist regime in all
Sure.
of Europe. It
Yeah.
wasn't a joke. So leaving also meant that you had to take the responsibility of the regime doing something to your family.
Yes, I know
There
that
must have
well.
been a lot going on through your dad's, may rest in peace, mind when he did
Yeah.
that, but also when he wasn't as willing to speak to you about it because he kind of just wanted to put it behind or
Yeah.
not be attacked for it or not have that story kind of mistaken or said in a way that wasn't true. But going back and having that family, besides the excitement and the nostalgia, maybe for the
Hmm.
roots that you had, what else did it make you feel in terms of the connection to your other homeland?
I mean, like I said, I cried 3 times. So it was random. Like the beauty of my grandparents' grave, looking over the mountains, in that the village of Fushvardi, like into having so many relatives around me. I mean, people were telling me like it's okay to cry, but like it's like being home that was never my home, but it's my father's home.
Mhm.
And according to ancestry.com, you know what I mean? I'm exactly 50%.
Yeah.
So it's having so much roots there. But like, and I stood, it was very touching. I stood with the spot where my father's like a little hut, little house was made out of stone. Now, of course, it had been broken down. They changed the walls, the retainer walls over 100 years or whatever. But right where I stood, I was eating like fresh figs, grapes, and blackberries, like in the very spot that like my father and like four or five children were born and raised. So like that's very very touching. I mean, like the neighbors came out, like everyone came out in the town.
They all
It's
knew
just
you, I'm guessing. They all knew.
yeah. I mean, it's but the crazy thing too is like my father would have been so old that like even the people that I was meeting, the oldest people that I was meeting, they were much younger and only remember my father based off his trip back.
You.
So I didn't see any 99-year-old Dobros. They were all like one generation down. So, but it was still very touching. Like these people, so how old would they have been in 1993? And they were like in their 30s or maybe 40s, and so you're now 60 and 70 years old. But yeah, just like the connection, just being overwhelmed, and I just wasn't expecting it. I mean, Tirana just to me looks like Queens, looks like New York to me. But heck, I went all the way up to the top of the mountains in Tirana and overlooked like where the tramway is. And they were telling me like where the prime minister's house was. You could like see his roof from a certain spot. But like they had goats on the road. They had wild like mountain dogs, like laying right on the side of the road. And the food was just unbelievable. I ate so much food and I only gained 1 pound in 1 week, so I'm kind of happy about that.
Yeah, that was me. I was eating pizza like 3 times a day, and I actually lost 12 pounds while being there.
I
So I'm
the only
like,
thing I
"This is
can think of
amazing."
is yeah, it's got to be like the processed American food. And hey, I tell people there's two different big differences like when between Americans and everyone else. Unfortunately, I said when you come back, even when you're in the airport, it's like the customer service is very rude for Americans, and then the food is garbage. So
Pretty much.
you go to these other countries and the food is great, and people just seem to be a lot more polite and cordial and learning different languages and stuff. So, but I had a great time. I mean, like I said, it's just weird feeling because I'd never been there before, but like I had, you feel like you're connected to the land. And in Albanian, they were reminding me, you are connected to this land.
Yeah, they said
So,
there's no escaping being Albanian. We got you now.
yeah,
So,
right. Yeah.
two questions before I hand it over to Rock for a cultural round of questions. But I want
Uh-oh.
to, do you teach your kids about being Albanian? Do they know these roots as well?
Well, ironically enough, I started teaching them a few phrases like haida haida,
Oh,
Shumir, and I brought back the cultural the ethnic dress for my daughter, and I got the hat for my son. My daughter likes burek, my son doesn't. So like I'm trying to give him the food. I'm trying to give him like I can only teach them the words that I know, but like it's just funny when they know a few of the phrases. So, but it's tough. Like I want to teach them and pass that down so they know. Like I brought them back little trinkets and toys and stuff and a soccer jersey, and then of course they make worldwide news with their win. Um, was it against Serbia or whatever? So like I got my son's got two different soccer jerseys. So yeah, obviously I want to pass that along down as much as I can. They'll appreciate it and they'll definitely get into it more when they get older.
love it. Maybe they can also see Albania too one day. And
Yes.
secondly, I wanted to ask you for people that also want to pursue acting, and whose parents really want them to continue being a doctor or a business person, but they're
Yeah.
trying to ease their way into the field, what would you say to them to encourage them?
Unfortunately, I would say don't quit your day job. And then, but if you, a lot of aspiring actors will go up to the biggest name on set, like Natalie Portman or John Bernthal, and say, "Hey, John, I really love you. I admire your work. What advice would you have for an aspiring actor?" They get that a lot because I used to be that guy that asked that a lot, and now I'd rather just be personable and be their coworker and not their fan.
Mhm.
But the advice is never give. It's cliche, but never give up, because if you give up, you absolutely have no chance of landing the next role, a big role, or applying applying to get closer to your, what you set out for yourself. So, like, and it's the way I look at it is you don't quit, don't ever quit. You keep doing work. You do the hard work. You do work that other people aren't doing to get there. So you try to find, talent agent, and then you try to find another talent agent, or you get some classwork. You work on your resume. You work on anything you can do to build up your resume and your reel. And a lot of actors will say, like, build your own content. Like, you guys know, just being podcasts, if you know how to use this equipment, you know how to shoot reels, quick little snippets that I love watching, that you guys do. Like, that is a good segue because you're already, about the camera, about setup, about uh, um, what do you call it, spacing, staging, which way are you walking in. That's the biggest thing. I tell people, when I used to watch TV shows, I used to think that there was like 5 6 cameras in the room because I kept showing different angles, and I was like, wow, there must be a lot of cameras in the room right now. And then I realized, on a professional TV set or movie set, film set, you only have one camera, and they keep playing the scene over and over again. So when I had a scene with Billy Bob Thornton in Landman, the camera was on him, for a bunch of takes. So we would do the scene, we would do it again, we would do it again. The camera would be on him. Then after they felt like they got a good enough coverage on him, they would switch the camera on me, and we
Huh.
would do the scene over and over and over again. And what they do is, the editor has the best job because they can make or break an actor. If you give the editor enough coverage, they'll put it all together and they can really come up with something good. So the scene I have with Billy Bob Thornton and Landman was great because there were times where he would mess up his line, I would mess up my line, but we did it enough times that they edited it and it looked seamless. And they were able to use, like, the funniest lines. They were able to use the best take. And that's what I love watching. That's why I don't mind as an actor. We can just keep doing takes. Let's just keep doing it, because the more you do it, the better you're probably going to look because of editing. So, but you see some lazy actors, they're like, "Oh, you already got it." They did one take and then they're done. That's not me. I'll keep doing it as long as you want. So it's like stuff like that I've learned, which is really, really fun stuff to do.
Love that. I'll hand it over
Um,
to Rock now to ask you some questions about your Albanian culture.
All right,
Victor, we won't
Shamir,
go rough on you here. We won't get rough on you here. I'm
Nuka
gonna ask you a
Nuka
few.
D.
Nuk
No
e
good
di,
D.
there you go.
I'll ask you a couple questions. You won't have to answer in Albanian. You can answer in English. It's totally fine.
Okay,
I ask kind of different questions about how Albanian you are to everybody. I do some that require a one-word answer, some require multiple word answer. But however you want to decide to answer them, you answer them. All right.
all right.
So have you been anywhere else? Hold on, before I start, have you been anywhere else besides Albania? Have you been to Kosovo? Have you been to like Montenegro or anything of that sort or no?
No, Poland,
Poland.
Mexico, and Albania. That's it. That's
So
three.
so no other Albanian ethnic places. Okay.
Territory.
No,
All right. All right.
no. But I know
All
the
right.
north and the south seem to have a hard time communicating. I'm learning that from my Kosovo friends. Like, a
Yeah,
lot,
nor
I think the south can understand the north, but the north can't understand the south.
Yes, I'm from the South originally, and we can understand all of you, but you guys can't
yeah.
understand our
Yeah,
secret
that's so weird.
language.
I got
Yeah.
lots of funny stories. Like,
It,
I br- go ahead, go ahead.
the two differences, I don't know if you know the two differences. So the northern speaks Geg dialect and the
Okay,
southern speaks Tusk dialect.
okay,
So those are the two dialects. If anybody says, "Oh, you speak the Southern," that's more predominantly it's called Tusk,
all
Tusk,
right.
whereas in the
I
North
appreciate it.
it's Gheg, Geg.
I've heard a gig, but I appreciate you letting me know because I didn't know that.
Yeah, those are our two dialects there, our two main dialects, I should say. But all right, let's get started. So since you've been to Albania, what did you like better, Tirana or Gjirokastër?
Oh, judo costume for sure. For sure.
Gjirokastër.
Yeah, I was in Toronto for a couple of days, and then I ended up, staying there at the end. It was nice. It was different, but it was to me, it was like Queens, New York. I mean, some
So
nice parts, but like so much traffic, so much traffic. But
yeah.
Girocastra, with the whole city is made out of stone. The houses are built into the stone, like granite, like mountain. It's beautiful.
Wow. Wow. See,
Yeah.
I've never been to the South, so that's pretty cool to hear. I can't
Oh,
wait to go.
yeah.
So I'm guessing what would you like better, village life or city life?
I mean, I want a mixture of both. I mean, I
Yeah.
don't know if I could live in Fushvardi, but I could definitely do Girocastra. But like
Yeah.
definitely Girocastra over Tirana, just because Tirana is just like so much traffic and congested. I would have to like live on the outskirts maybe.
Right. And do you have a favorite Albanian food?
Oh, definitely baklava. Like I'll eat baklava and drink milk in my kitchen naked right before I go to bed. I don't care.
Yeah, that's a
I
good
was I will sleepwalk. I will sleepwalk to the
one.
refrigerator and eat my baklava. And then when I wake up 2 pounds heavier in the morning, I wonder why.
Yeah, yeah,
So
right,
I
right.
tell
Who did
people like
that?
my diet is like Santa Claus, but like the Albanian Santa Claus or
But
something.
baklava instead of cookies.
Oh
Yeah, I
man.
mean, I love baklava. My father's a chef, executive chef, so I was raised on baklava, spanakopita, burek, the cheese filo, the chicken and rice, and I know all
Okay.
these different dishes have different names, but to me, it's just like phyllo dough with different filling, which I guess that's what it is.
Yeah.
But I mean, he made the desserts, and he made some like ethnic desserts, and I just love like I mean, he put in pounds of sugar on his recipe for baklava, and like I had the old family recipe, but yeah, like that Turkish, Greek, Albanian food, I just love, and then like the choftas, and then
Chota. Okay.
yeah, like all that stuff I love, man. The
Nice.
cheese, the feta
Hey,
cheese. They have feta cheese from Judicastra. Like I bought it like at a deli in New Jersey. And like I was showing it off to my friends. I was like, look, it says made in Judicastra. That's my hometown.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
How about between Iraqi and Albanian coffee or like Turkish coffee? What would you go for?
Oh man, that's tough. That's tough. I would say, man, I would say like the coffee just because you can drink more of it off throughout the day. But like that stuff's potent. I mean, the Rocky. I mean, I brought a 1.5 liters back home, and I saw someone making it in their shed. And it's weird because some family members make it with a different consistency than others. So it's like, some taste stronger, some is smoother. But I've learned that tradition, drinking that for sure. But like, I love how every gas station in Albania has an outdoor coffee cafe, and like the
Yeah.
men are smoking cigarettes, playing cards, drinking coffee right next to the pumps.
Yeah, yeah. Hey, I got three more quick ones.
All right, all right.
What's your first Albanian word that comes to your mind?
Is this can you edit or can it be rated R? Uh,
Yeah, if it's like unavailable for Instagram or YouTube, we'll bleep it out, but tell us
Yeah.
what it is.
Shumut,
Shumut.
and then just like Nukadi Vg, and then but my favorite sayings are like obviously Haida 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 Spet,
I
and
just wait.
yeah, and Shamir. Like I say Shamir like, oh, very well now, like, oh, Shamir. So it's just
Shamir.
part of. So
Do you
then
know
I
how to
have my
say
kid,
hello?
Mirman Jace or
So
CN.
Mirman just says good
Good
morning.
morning, and then Mirman
If you
Brahma,
if you want to be more proper towards everybody, you can say
CN,
Pershendetya is like hello.
Pershendete,
Yeah, or
and
Mirdita, you can say there in the daytime,
Mirdita.
like
Then what's
good
CN?
day. CN
Yes, how are you?
yeah, it's like
See,
how are
like
you?
they all sound the same to me. Like
Yeah.
I get confused.
It could be used as two different things. It could be how are you and yeah, I mean it's more for multiple people or one person, it doesn't matter. It's CN is kind of for both.
Yes, there's just the
Um
basic stuff.
and then do you have a favorite Albanian song or an artist?
Yeah, definitely. I've been listening to like Noisy,
Noisy? Okay.
and then a couple others, but like I'm just cranking that now. constantly. But it's funny because the only words I pick up are when they say like Zemir, like just a few of the sayings that like that I pick up and I hear. But like I think it's Capital T by Noisy, or if that's his album, I don't know.
Capital T is an artist as well. So it's a
Hmm.
song that they probably got together. Capital T is
Oh,
an
okay.
artist.
All right,
Okay.
but yeah, so like definitely like yeah, I didn't know there was any good music in Albania. Honestly, I didn't know. I thought it was all folk music or like really bad like
Uh,
rap like spin-offs until I heard like some of this more recent stuff, and I'm like, wow, this is
they're
pretty good actually.
they're some of the leaders in Europe for music when it comes to all types of music. So they're pretty dominant over there in Germany, France, Italy, all over Europe. Um,
Yeah,
but last one, what does being Albanian mean to you in one word?
pride. I mean, family, bloodlines. Yeah, like yeah, just pride. Like we were talking about, what the Albanians are very unique. My people know this, but they have more pride in their country. They put country above religion, and not many people do that. They put it's like it's like God, country, family, or whatever. But like Albanians seem to put country up top, which I don't mind. Like you know what I mean. So you have to have all these different religions coexist. But when I think about Albanians, I think about like, people showing off their flag, their heritage, and being proud, especially in the United States, even out there. You come to America, and then people are protesting America when they're living in America. So it's kind of hard to
Yeah.
see as like an Albanian American. But yeah, I mean, probably pretty, straightforward, but like, how they carry themselves, and like, they stick together, hardworking, and just all the good attributes, really.
I appreciate you answering those, Victor. So I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure you're a pretty proud Albanian. I can see
Yeah,
you
you
Yeah.
got the
passed the test. You really are
yeah,
Albanian. There you
What's
go.
one
yeah,
through 10? 1 through 10, am I
yeah.
like a one or a two or
Oh,
You're
10 for sure. If you're
yeah,
okay.
Albanian, you're Albanian. That's it.
yeah.
Parlamentary.
You
Thank
got
We'll
you.
the eagle
circle
Appreciate it.
on your
back.
chest, eagle on your desk, eagle behind you. You got the
Yeah,
Kosovo
for
flag
Got
sure.
your
there. You're
Albanian flag.
Yeah,
100%.
We'll
definitely.
circle
It's
back
all
with you in a year and you'll be speaking Albanian fluently. You'll have a cigarette between your fingers,
Yeah,
rocking it
right.
to the side
Yeah, yeah.
after your first trip.
I saw a
it's
video, a reel. I don't know who did it, but it was like the Albanian like coffee smoking Olympics. And
oh
so the
yeah,
guy,
I saw
you
that.
see it, where he's drinking coffee, but it's like the Olympics.
Albania's number one.
Yeah. And I was like, that's hilarious because that's what I saw. So like the coffee culture
Yeah, it's
is
Yeah,
big.
great. So
Nice.
that's
there's
awesome.
more coffees per capita in Albania than any other country in the world. So
I
that's
I know. I picked up that stat too. That's pretty cool.
yeah. Well, Victor, we have enjoyed this conversation so
Oh,
much.
me too. Thank you.
Sure people will want to be able to reach out to you or maybe ask you a couple questions or be able to find your journey online. If so, where can they find you online?
Sure, thank you. I'm most active on Instagram. It's Robo Dobro, and it's kind of a nickname like RoboCop. So like
Mm.
RoboCop, but like Robo Dobro, Dobro, and that's my Instagram handle. And I really do appreciate like the engagement, the followers, and I'm really trying to connect, and not just fan base, but people, Albanians, Albanian Americans, police officers, actors. So I welcome like any type of engagement. I mean, the Albanian community has really like accepted me, and I love it. That they're so like welcoming. It's great. I mean, to have friends and family from the culture for sure.
Well, definitely, Victor. Well, you definitely got some friends and family here for sure. You're now a part of the Kultura podcast family here with
Yes, you
us,
Sweet,
with me and
sweet.
Dea. I appreciate you for coming on. And it's a pleasure getting to actually to know you and to meet you. I was been wanting to meet you for a while now through social
I'm a
media, but
big
finally
fan of
get a
yours,
chance.
man. I love your videos. What is it, the Barek Boys? Like I love
But
it.
I
I mean,
boys, thank you,
I
brother.
love I
Thank you. I
love all
appreciate
your
it.
content, and I'm gonna keep watching for sure.
Thank you, man. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for joining us again, and we will catch you all next time on another episode of Cultura Podcast. See you next time.